Alright, and welcome everyone to the Otaku no Video Spring 2011 Anime Guide, where all 5 of us have been watching the anime from this spring, and we're here to tell you about it. So, you may have seen some of them, you probably haven't seen as much as all of us, so we're here to tell you about them. And as usual, going really quick through the group, I've got Matt Dixon from Life and Tims of Anime. Hello, Matt.
Hello, and remember, we always know more than you do.
Exactly. Welcome, Miniman. How you doing? There we go. Welcome, Brad.
Hello.
Hello.
Say something funny.
And welcome, Rising Zan.
Hello, everyone, and we were going to be viewing anime because this is my specialty.
There we are. So we've got a whole bunch, and we're going to go through it basically alphabetically, beginning with the 30-year-old virgin's guide, 30 Sai, blah, 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 blah. And we're going to start this one off with Matt. Can you give us a quick introduction to this anime?
Okay, it's basically just about a dude that's he's still 30 years old, hasn't lost his virginity, and the god of sex comes down to help him, and wackiness proceeds from there. You know, the god of sex can obviously do things that most people can't do, like turn his mouse pad into breasts.
Yes.
And that's, you know, there's not much to this series, you know, nice animation, stuff like that. So, I guess we can sort of talk about it now.
Yeah.
With that brief introduction.
So, Miniman, I know you've seen it too. What did you think?
I think, especially going through the first 3 episodes around now, they're 12 minutes long. I have not laughed this much in ages. I just think it's good, stupid fun, but there are some really amazingly well-timed jokes in there, but some people may find it just a bit too bombarding, so it really bombards.
A few people, like me. Yeah, I have to admit, I really disliked it. I found the humor to be, you know, a few jokes screamed at you and just sort of shoved in your face. It felt like, not simply lowbrow humor, but humor that was based on, like I say, a few jokes told very loud, which I really didn't like. Certainly, high-quality animation, good voice work, everything else about it certainly worked. But the humor style certainly wasn't kind of, I would say it's kind of like panty and stockings humor style. You know, you'll either love it or you'll hate it. Fair enough.
Yeah. It's pretty well apt, really. You know, so I liked it. I like the humor, but not. You know, again, I said it's not good mindless humor. You just take your brain out and enjoy it. And again, just the point about the one thing about it is, in my opinion, this had the best intro song out of all animes this season. Not the best intro, just the best intro song.
You didn't think the animation was...
No, the intro was just kind of meh. It was just like any other intro, but the song was awesome.
Matt Dixon, defender of intros.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Zan, have you seen this one?
Oh, I've seen all 3 episodes.
Yeah, what did you think?
I was going to say the opening actually was very beautiful, honestly, because usually the opening animation just seemed very different, because usually, yeah, it just seemed very beautiful. Song was awesome. Ending was also cool. It's like an ending that always changes with every episode. Like, yeah, it's like evolving, because the kids and the little ones are growing up. Anyway, I've seen all 3 episodes, and I like how eventually we're going to see the girl side of it, because, you know, we're seeing, like, it's not just like the guy side, but also... This show is kind of, it also kind of like teaches, I know what I'm saying teaches, it can give like people new to love some heads up maybe about certain stuff, you know, like don't get too over emotional about the girl who first talks to you or anything like that. Some of it is usually some really ecchi humor, but I really like this series. It's kind of very interesting and novel, and definitely give it a try. However, the censorship in the first episode is really weird.
True. Yeah, there's a lot of strong censorship.
And what's weird is by the 3rd episode, all they have is like a black bar.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. That seems like just a loss of effort on that.
Probably got some complaints maybe from the people who censored it maybe. I don't know.
Possible.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, 30-year-old version. I'm sorry, 30-year-old virgin's guide. Interesting little series. Moving on to A Channel, one of the Slice of Life series. And Brad, why don't you give us the introduction on this one?
Okay, A Channel is pretty much your standard Slice of Life. The interesting side to it is it somehow manages to throw in some music and cinematography that gives it a sort of a drama feel. It gets kind of dramatic, but then it jumps back to the funny, airheaded, just school days slice of life anime.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally liked it.
Yeah.
I thought the animation style was nice. I thought the feeling was rather relaxing. It all just had a very good feel to it.
Yeah. Zan, how about you?
Honestly, I've never watched the show, at least a lot of it, but it reminded me of Lucky Star, but a little bit more real, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of style of show. Let me look at my notes here. There we go. Very school life based, having, it also has a theme of having friends that are older to you and knowing that you can't always be with them. I think it was the third episode where the girl who's like a year younger kept on going over to her friends because like she kept on missing them, and that was kind of cute and touching in a way. Anything else to say? Ending of the song is pretty catchy, very cute. Girl has a bat. I'm done.
Fair enough. And it's like a aluminum bat. Not a little animal.
She got a bat.
I actually, what intrigued me about A-Channel is that it's a slice of life comedy in the style of Lucky Star, but it focuses on elements of relationship, as other folks have said. It is not simply, goofy slice of life stuff. That is kind of used as a substructure for these stories. So there is actually, points being made about what friendship means and things like that, but also in a way that's not saccharine. I was impressed that there's actually some significant drama in how these characters interact, which I thought was a different thing. And I also like the fact that basically, from what I've seen, it's basically an episodic thing. So you'll get a sort of mini story arc with one character over the course of an episode, which is something we typically don't see in these slice of life comedies. So, yeah, cool stuff. Now I get to take a step back as we talk about Astaroth's Toy, or Astaroth no Omocha. And Miniman, why don't you introduce this one?
Astaroth no Omocha, a surprisingly innocent series. It sort of reverses the tables on the whole idea of succubus and human. It's more a succubus who doesn't like men. It's just a very interesting, very fun series. It has some funny jokes in there. I mean, it's not super exceptional, and its animation isn't amazing. It's got a lovely colour palette, though. The colour palette is gorgeous, just nice yellows and greens.
So, remind the viewers, what's the premise?
The premise is that there's a 10-year-old succubus, and basically at some point she's going to come of age, and she needs man seed to live.
Life seed.
Life seed to live through puberty, which is basically semen. And basically, a load of things happen. And originally I thought it was she goes to the human world. It's actually a human ends up coming to her world through a series of funny circumstances. And it's just a bit of stupid fun, and it's got some really nice morals to it. The main guy is the kindest person in anime possibly ever. So
cool.
It's just a really nice, heartwarming, fun little series, and it just takes the whole idea of sex and it's just so innocent about it, and it just preserves that thing. So it's not actually sort of lowly as much as it is just a nice, fun thing to watch.
Matt, do you agree?
Yeah, that's the thing. The thing is, I haven't watched more than the first episode, so I'm pretty sure the whole premise of Life Seed will come into it more as you go in.
Yeah.
It's like. The way I kind of see this whole thing is people that watch it like now, anyone, even you, Brent, will like the first episode, but as it goes on, more and more people will drop out as the bigger premise comes in, because no matter how adorable this romance is, her objective is to suck on that man's fadangle-do. That is what she is born to do.
Her actual objective is to get him out. She doesn't like him.
Yeah.
But I mean, admittedly, some instances did go and they did make a very, very odd breast milking joke.
Oh, okay.
In the second, a very odd one, but it's still it's extremely funny.
How about you, Dan? How about you, Dan?
Oh, there we go. I couldn't hear that. Honestly, when we previewed this show, I feel that I need to apologize because I bashed on it at least. And I feel sorry about this. Just really, it's like, it just goes to show you not to judge a series by its synopsis, kind of like books. There is one part that I found weird was Omocha's costume, but anyway, other than that, I love this series. It's cute, it's innocent. accent, and I just laugh at it a lot. And also I like how they have like this theme where all the ladies in waiting have like one specific job, including the only one that has big breasts, and there's a reason for that. And I find it hilarious because I just like slap myself on the forehead like, that makes sense.
It is so stupid.
Classic. Moving on. Anything else?
Just a really cute series, and definitely worth a look. Do not let the synopsis fool you.
Yeah, it's definitely something everyone should have, you wouldn't feel too bad about having a go at. You know, it's like, as long as you can stick through the first 5 minutes of penis jokes, sex, you must drink sperm, then the first episode is definitely not what you would think, but, you know, be prepared to like the first bit and then be very, very disappointed. Because
the thing is,
you will do. You know, than most people.
One thing I actually want to add, one thing I really quickly want to add is, this girl has actually been traumatized as a child.
Yeah.
There is a backstory there, and I'm like, wow.
It's quite harsh.
Fair enough.
Actually, very harsh. But keep going.
Fair enough. Moving on to one Zam put on his list that I'm not familiar with, The Flower We Could Not Name.
Yeah, that's the, what was the long title? I renamed it. I redubbed it.
What's the actual title? Because then I don't know who did that one.
Hang on a second, let me pull it up.
Alright, moving on to Blue Exorcist. While he does that, I'll take the introduction on this one. Blue Exorcist is the story of a young man who is basically an orphan, living with an exorcist, and seems to have these strange powers. So it's sort of I would say a shonen-y, though not a typical shonen jump kind of title. But a young man, he's kind of always getting into fights, always getting into trouble, but he has a heart of gold. He always does it for the right reasons. And then he finds there are bigger things going on. Not only does it have high-quality animation, I was actually struck at the overall cinematography of this one. It actually, you know, looks very lush, and, you know, a lot of attention paid to backgrounds and characters as well. There's really a lot of attention in this one, and a fun story. And I also appreciate that one of the big plot twists is held off until the end of the episode. We get to really understand these characters and what's going on with them leading up to that episode, which I really liked.
Yeah, it's definitely really awesome in lots of little ways, and even the big ways. You know, the story's pretty cool. And it's just like, but my favourite part of it, you know, the first episode was a transformation scene. You know, I'm not going to go too specific, but you know, a bad guy transforms, and it is awesome. It's just this how good the animation has been this season. It is the way this dude's, you know, like, the horns develop and the teeth develop and the tongue moving. It's so, you know, you really feel like this is happening and some dude's about to get his head bitten off. You know, and again, the character interactions, like one of the main character being threatened to be scarred. Was, you know, you feel tension. This anime seems so really good at building your tension, at building the viewer's tension. And getting you into it, and if you were into the fight scenes, into the characters, so you know this will go well, and it just proves the theory that most anime from mangas are just damn good.
It's not about it. How about you?
This is a manga. It's already about 4 issues in the UK.
Okay.
You can buy.
Okay. Zan, how about you?
I love the humor in this show, especially how kind of like laid back and almost arrogant how the main character is. He's just like, you know, he's a smart ass in some cases to his foster father, I guess, or whatever father. I don't know, is it foster father or father? Because he's a father, and forget it. The one thing that really always comes into my mind though is the ending, and the ending is kind of lazy. I mean, the song's meh, and what it is just like, the camera just keeps on going down the street with buildings flying by, and at the very end is a sword.
Okay.
Lame ending sequence.
Okay.
But definitely it needs more watching, though. Only the first episode out, more needs to be watched, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Brad, what do you think?
Well, I actually really liked Exorcist. What really stuck out to me, like Matt said, was the amazing animation quality in the show. Other than that, the story came together well, especially for a good introduction episode, and the humor fit. I don't really think they did anything wrong for a first episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I would agree with that. Yeah, it's very impressive all around. So getting back to the Flower series, the title is Anohim Mita Hana no Namae o Boku Tachi wa blah 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 blah.
Yeah, now you know why I renamed it.
Well, the problem is no one knows about the other title. So
it's a basic translation of the title, though. If you watch the episode, they have like the actual translation, and this is what it basically.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So the series is, the series is basically about these group of kids that they are great friends when they are kids. However, then an event happened, and now they're kind of all scattered apart. And until something then happened, and then you like do this one last thing before they start drifting apart from one another. And it's just like it's a great nostalgia trip, really. Just like it's like it really even makes you think of as a kid, like when you were that age, and like when you had that group of friends, and like you think about like where are you guys now? And it makes you. It doesn't make you like think. It makes you like just like think back.
It's interesting. The series definitely deals with, I would say, memories of childhood. The main character in particular is very different than he was as a child, and the series is appears to be very much about the difference between being a child and being, say, a teenager, and how much you grow and you change in some ways in good ways and some ways in bad ways, and then about what those friendships mean. Can you just go back and reclaim those friendships? So there's some heavy stuff. This is a heavy series.
Yeah, this series can definitely be dug deeper.
Yeah. And
I really like one of the things that happened in the second episode, which basically involves finding a lost Nogemon cartridge. Oh god, that's just bringing back so many memories when I was a kid. But yeah, just really makes you think about your own life as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting series. Now,
actually, one thing, I think this is probably going to end up competing with another big end series that a lot of people have been raving about, but we'll get back to that one later. But this is probably my personal favorite of the series season.
Brad, I know you've seen some of this. You want to add anything?
Let's see. The biggest thing is that it's just walk into it with caution. It can be depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a dark one. It doesn't appear to be too dark, and then yeah, it's rough. All right, moving on to one of my favorite titles of the season, possibly my favorite title of the season, C, The Money of Soul and Possibility of Control.
Yes, madly.
So, Brad, why don't you introduce this one?
Okay, this one is interesting and weird at the same time. The basic premise is Japan is in an economic depression and everyone's short on money. There is an alternate dimension that allows people to walk into it and fight to make that money.
Of course.
And it's pretty well animated, and the story flows in a sort of an understandable way. It's kind of like Alice in Wonderland that it takes a bit to get used to. But after that, it seems like it's going to be an enjoyable show, but I haven't seen the second episode yet, so I don't have a definitive review.
Fair enough. Miniman, what do you think?
I mean, if you watch the first episode, you're going to be dazed of what the hell's going on. And if you watch the second episode, because the whole point of the fights, which is really odd, is the fights are sort of multi-tiered. There's all sorts of things, like you have these big orbs above them, then you have the monsters, then you have the people.
Okay.
And basically, if you watch the second episode, you'll realise it's all done on a very weird but very cool payment system, which is a bit like gambling. You gamble certain money, if that attack hits, you get certain money back.
Okay.
And it's trying to bankrupt the other one and get their money, but it's it's really cool. It's got this really good idea of just this is like why these people are rich. The problem is, as far as I can tell, they've pretty much spoiled for themselves. And rather, if you just listen to what he's saying in episode 2, then you've pretty much found what they're probably going to pull out as the big plot twist at the end. And I've sort of already figured it out.
Yeah.
So unless they suddenly do a bluff on me, but they've suddenly made it so obvious that is the only annoying thing.
Fair enough. Zan, what do you think?
With me, I think they may actually go be anyway. But for me, with this series, I think they made the impossible possible. The one thing I thought could never be done. They made the stock market interesting. That's exactly what it is. They made friggin' investing loans and boring stuff like that interesting. How amazing is that?
Oh, but now, is this actually about, like, investing in things, or is it more about betting?
Pretty much. For example, like they say like deal on micro, as in microtransaction, like stuff like that.
Well, okay, but I mean, they're using the terminology. But what I'm saying is the series actually using investments, or is it just betting on these fights?
It's a kind of like investments. I mean, even the guy who like meets the main character, he says he's a banker and he wants to put this guy up for a loan. Even it looks like investing in banking. That's what it seems like that to me. Now, is it the exact same thing? Probably not, because this is anime. They always like to fudge stuff up to make it more interesting. But it's pretty damn close.
Everyone loves the taxi driver.
Take me to the financial district. One thing I wanted to say was the animation is used very well. Occasionally they use CGI on something or someone to make them look creepy as hell. Because as we know, when you use CGI, they look inhuman as all heck. But then they switch back into the thing to make them look even more human. And also, I like the main character's like. Right now he doesn't have any drive because he's like, I just want to live normally, I don't want to die, and stuff like that. But like he's tempted because it's like, oh, don't you want to get that girl? That guy seems to be really rich. Maybe that's why she's with him.
Okay.
Like, also, the writing in this series is excellent.
That's very.
Writing as in like dialogue?
Yeah, just like more monologues. There are a lot of monologues in this, but they are incredibly well written.
Yeah, an acting student's dream for what he can do in his final.
Cool.
Especially the Mad Hatter.
Whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Alright, moving on to one that I think we're going to have to start off with Miniman with, Deadman Wonderland.
Deadman Wonderland.
This, I can't believe I'm saying this. On Otaku No Video Live, I am saying this now. This is better than Phantom Requiem for the Phantom. Okay, for me, like, basically, I had an interesting story with this. When I started watching anime, I started watching Alpha Lied, and I thought, why not try other dark stuff? And I heard about this manga, Deadman Wonderland. It was too dark. I couldn't physically watch it, or read it. I just couldn't physically do it. It was just way too dark for me. And I was only 13 at the time, so coming, back at 17, little bit worried about it. And, it is super dark. I mean, it starts off with a guy having a nice normal conversation about how he's going to go on a school trip. It's nice and happy. 10 seconds later, everyone in the classroom, apart from him, is slaughtered on the floor, blood everywhere, guy holding his girlfriend's head. And pretty much throws it at him. And basically, he gets put in this prison / sort of amusement park called Deadman Wonderland, which is this sort of no-holds-barred rule prison, and he's put on the death sentence, which means he has a collar which constantly counts down, and he has to they sort of have to buy their freedom by doing really interesting things. It's all about sort of rules, and you meet this new interesting character. It is just incredible for me. It is just I don't want to spoil anything because it just gets so amazing, but it's so dark and so gritty, but so amazing at the same time for me.
Zan, what do you think?
I watched the first. I haven't finished the second episode yet. And also, it's not by their freedom. I think it's just by their lives. Anyway, the first episode, it was good, and I'm gonna watch it just because it's a Bones anime, and I haven't watched a good Bones anime since Hero Man, and I didn't watch Stargirl. Anyway, aside from studios, the first episode, half of it was good. The first 10 minutes I did not like. Why? Because it felt like the mangaka or whoever started this was like, let's throw poop at this kid for 10 minutes straight and see what happens.
I really liked it.
Okay,
fair enough. Hang on a second though. Hang on.
No.
The thing was, it's just it was so unrealistic. Okay, they think that this kid killed all his classmates. How? And in that fashion, how would he make the room charred and blackened, and how would he cut that girl's head off? And it doesn't make any sense. And they're just like, he did. Oh, look, there's this confession video. It's just are you people stupid?
Yeah.
Actually, they are if you watch the second episode. Hey, it's just special effects. They're not really dying.
Yeah.
God. I'm still going to watch it. I mean, it definitely looks interesting. I don't know about Dark, really, because I've seen worse.
Yeah.
But those first 10 minutes, though, just seems so stupid. They should have just said, like, oh, he's being sentenced to death because people blame him.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have done the judge scene, honestly, because it was just, like, too hammy for me. Anyway, go on, Brent.
How about you, Matt?
I was actually discussing something similar with you, Brent, earlier today. The art style, it seems very much like they were trying to be the art style of the manga, and it didn't work out. I do not like the art style of Deadman Wonderland. It's just... I've never seen anything like it before, and it doesn't fit in a way. It's kind of... It sort of tones down halfway through the episode. It's like the first episode's like really strong on its art style, but then the rest of it sort of tones down. It's like really just... The lines look wrong to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, I liked the... sorry, go ahead.
I had a question. Is it the art style of the manga? Because the art style looks a lot like the Bone style, you know?
I'm guessing, from what I've seen of the manga, it's very similar to the manga.
It looks very Bones to me because I watched a lot of Yuri 7. But anyway, that's all I had.
Anyway, I like the animation and I like the story. You know, it's sort of something I'd like to watch just to see where it goes, because it seems like the only anime like it at the moment of this season. But it's sort of just kind of meh, you know, there's nothing amazing about it. It's like, it seems to be riding on the wave of We Are Gritty, which I don't like.
Yeah. It has some really good moral choices at the end of the second episode, though. There's a really good, like, bit there of crap, you know, one choice or the other. Trust me, just end of the second episode, there's a really amazing sort of, why am I doing this moment?
Okay, here's the thing. When I was watching it, this is one of the two anime, I think, that I got halfway through the episode and just turned it off. And for similar reasons that Zan brought up. Part of it was that introductory scene, which I thought was very leadenly written. You know, hello friend, we're going away. Isn't that nice? Hello friend, this is very nice. And I was like, okay, who's gonna die? You know, it was just very clear to me that this is gonna be one of those anime. And then guy shows up, things bloody. I actually had the problem that I don't know what it was. I was watching it on Crunchyroll, I think. When they cut to the scene of him in the classroom, it was almost completely pitch black.
It was.
I could not tell what was going on, and I had to brightness my monitor turned all the way up. He screamed at in fact, Miniman, you telling me that was his girlfriend's head is the first time I knew that's what was happening.
Oh,
I literally couldn't see that. And then,
even I saw that.
And then, as Zan said, one of my problems was, this happens. Everyone is immediately completely against him. Nobody has any other possible reason. The idea that someone who is a model student up to this point can suddenly murder 31 other kids and completely, physically destroy the building around him, shatter all the windows, spatter blood everywhere. What? And because there's a confession video.
Below in the next classroom.
Nobody came to do anything, and nobody questions that. And folks mentioned the confession video, which I thought was just would seem suspicious to somebody. And it was just it was as Zan put it, it was so trying to be dark. And trying to be gritty.
It was so kind of ambiguous almost, because it's like, everyone's against you. The people, the public, they know nothing. They are just tools. That's what it feels like to me.
So I just didn't, So.
Well, in the second episode, he does...
Oh, sorry. You can go ahead, Miniman.
In the second episode, though, he does come up with a very interesting point in which, like, sort of, because part of the thing that I like about it is that there is a story behind why. Like, it gets explained as it goes on. There is a story behind why.
And I think that was part of my problem, is that, they started off with something that made so much no sense and gave you a character that could do nothing about it, that there was no reason for me to believe that there was anything behind it. It looked like bad storytelling.
Yeah.
So that was the problem I
The
had.
thing is, in the second episode, like a load of people are watching him do this sort of.
Well, and again,
and he goes, that would have been me.
Okay, my point is that they lost me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
I just want to give a quick warning to everyone that's enjoying the show. I've read a very large chunk of the manga thinking I would enjoy it. And this was back when it was fairly new. And basically the writing is bad. It moves itself into a dead end where the most likable characters of the series were those empty friends you saw at the beginning.
Wow.
Wow.
Ouch. So
honestly, I think what they should have done with the anime was just skip that whole 10 minutes and just skip to him, get on, and maybe have little bits of what happened later in the series.
And that's the thing.
That would have made the anime better than the manga.
Yeah, its direction is a little bit off.
Fair enough.
But the thing is, I personally enjoy it. I find some of the scenes nice and intriguing. Yeah,
right.
I mean,
I
think from myself, if you turn your logic brain off and just enjoy it for the...
Take your brain out while watching it, you mean?
Yeah. Well, because the thing is, you have to still think about it on some of the bits.
Yeah.
It's just that if you turn that particular part of the brain off for the first 10 minutes, then you'll be fine. Plus, seeing Mimi's dad kick his teeth in is quite amusing.
That was another thing that I...
Poop throwing for me.
Yeah.
You should have a recording of Matt's voice saying, take your brain out while watching it.
He's Australian.
No, it sounds like this.
Alright, moving on.
Moving
on.
Series ever will do a review.
To Denpa Onna. Also, Denpa Onna to Seishun Otoko. And I think I'm going to introduce this one.
Go ahead. I can't do it.
So Denpa Onna is a strange one. I had mixed feelings about this one. Basically, it's very clearly based on a visual novel, or at least it feels very much like it's based on a visual novel. It's actually based on a light novel. So main character comes to this town and he bunks with, I believe it's his aunt.
His aunt.
His aunt, and her daughter lives with a futon strapped around her body. Yeah.
Well, she also says she's an alien.
All right. Let me get to that. And so she acts very strange. She claims to be an alien. She sort of wanders in and out at odd hours. And the problem is, the mother refuses to acknowledge her existence, even to the point of, basically not feeding her and, throwing her around the house. There's this very strange, the mother's relationship to the daughter really turned me off, because there's this weird sort of psychological abuse going on. And that was my main issue with it. That said, as with a lot of the other things we've been saying, high quality animation, a lot of stuff going on, very mysterious, great cinematography, visually interesting and different things happening and so forth. And I also want to commend them on the fact that there's actually a fair amount of good pacing moments. For something that goes in a lot of different directions, when it's funny, when it's dramatic, it's dramatic, and it knows how to handle those emotions and how to pace them properly, I thought surprisingly well. So 12-episode anime, those are my thoughts. Zan, what do you think?
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. First of all, I think it's still kind of said that she's an alien. We don't know if she's crazy or maybe she is an alien. Maybe, the mother is, actually working for, some sort of alien secret service. Anyway, though, this anime is it's brand new to me. I've never seen anything like this. I think it's worth a first episode try. The only genre I can give this is extremely abnormal harem, because so far the whole cast is just girls.
Yeah.
But there's no ecchi. There's no romance, other than the fact the guy is ooh, she's pretty in the moonlight.
Yeah.
It's very strange, but then again, it's Shaft. What do you expect?
True.
It's not really a comedy, not really a drama, not really an action anime. It's just weird. But if you're an otaku, check this anime out. It's something brand new. Also, I like the ending song. It's very silly and
Yeah, I wouldn't say new, but Brad, what do you think?
One more thing. I like how the main character at the end of the episode grades himself on.
That's true.
Just grades himself being nice to elderly people, -2 points. Seeing a pretty girl, +3 points. Overall score, -1 point. And the score carries on with each episode.
Nice.
So, yeah,
Nice.
very awesome, possum.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Because the whole, like, is she always staring up at the moonlight and stuff like that?
No.
Not really, no.
Okay.
She's actually most of the time in a futon, actually.
Alright, I was going to say, because it just sounded more like a Kaguya Hime thing.
Mm-hmm.
Too much Lil Pre, sorry.
Brad, what did you think?
Probably.
I thought it was pretty good. It was very weird and new, but I warmed up to it pretty fast. It definitely looks like, even though it's weird, it's going to be the Moe show of the season.
True.
And it's actually way too hard for me to explain and review. It's just a show.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the came out of left field series of this season, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah. I know one way to describe this. A side character dresses up as a cheese sandwich.
There we go.
Episode 2. Yeah.
Now I'm hungry.
All right, so moving on to Dog Days, which I believe just Zan and I have seen. Zan, what did you think of Dog Days?
I thought this was going to be like some sort of badass anime, but it wasn't.
No.
Okay, so here's the summary. So basically, like, there's this guy. He seems like to be like this guy who wants to participate in the next Ninja Warrior, the biggest like Japanese game show. You know, like one of those ones that are like very athletic. But then all of a sudden he's like training. You know, he's like Mike from DNM who does rerunning, and he falls off the building. However, he then gets sucked into a summoning portal by a dog. He gets sucked into this world where like cat and dog people roam free. And basically they're always at war. However, it's not the war you think. It's like special safety precautions, no one gets killed war.
Yeah.
And I get the feeling that this was a parody of how the government wants anime to be after the anti-otaku law, because like the child proofing on this show is a bit silly. Also the line, but no one's dying. What's the problem? Well, if we keep losing, our people will get sad. It still makes me cringe. I do like the fact that they fight via Japanese game show, though. That's awesome. Also the fact that they actually summon someone who can actually fight. That's a concept. Overall, it's kind of average, but I love the Japanese game show setup. It's just like, it gets me so revved up, and it's just so fun.
So basically, just so you know, to explain in a little more detail what Zan said. So basically, he goes to this world of dog people and cat people, and war, this big war they've been having, is literally run like a Japanese game show. You know, these two sides crash, but like if you're hit on the back of the head, or if you're hit seriously at all, you basically transmogrify into a little blob with ears and a tail. And you're just carted off the field of battle. And so it's really just a matter of, how many folks can get there. And they set up obstacles and, like, poles you have to jump on, and, like the logs in the river you have to spin, all that kind of stuff. And one thing I particularly liked is the fact that the main character, he loves acrobatics. He's a very sort of upbeat kid, like a 13-year-old boy, taken into this world, and he almost immediately gets into it. He's not the goofy, I don't know if I want to do this.
Exactly.
He's not the guy who's
like, oh boy, that looks fun. Can I try it? Yes.
And he doesn't suck.
And take the staff.
It's great, and he's really, really good at what he does. Now, as it progresses, there's a little more fan service, later on.
Oh yeah, episode 2, yeah.
But it's definitely a fun series. It's completely lighthearted. It's actually by the staff of Nanoha. I found out. So basically all those guys are going to do this. So it's very light and upbeat. Everyone's really cute. Even like the side characters have this really attractive design to them. It's very bright. And just a fun show. And, to quote Miniman, to take your brain out, watch it. It's fun.
To quote Miniman?
Yeah, that was to quote the man who's quoting Matt.
Sorry, to quote Matt.
British person.
Yes.
We don't talk about this, Governor.
Just one little comment on the episode 2 fan service.
Yeah.
They still had her wear shorts, and like she had like a bustier on, so it was like the most subdued fan service I've ever seen. For me.
What scene are you talking about?
Episode 2, there was fan service.
Yeah. Which scene are you talking about?
the fan service with the main cat person. Basically, like she got her clothes slashed through.
But remember, there's a sequence later on where the other girl gets her
Oh
it all falls off, and you don't see anything. But you know. Which, you know, again, it's fine, it's goofy. It's actually one of the things I like is it's goofy fan service. You know, it's not even like, you know, it's not empty fan service. It's like, you know, he accidentally taps her, and so, well, it's actually like the first episode of Toramajutsu no Index, where all of her clothes dissolve off her body. You know, it's not meant to be ecchi, it's just, oh, so that's fine. So anyway, so moving on from Dog Days, moving on to Doron Enma-kun.
Meta.
Yes. So Zane, why don't you introduce this one as well?
Yay! Okay, so basically in the 70s, or I don't know if they're making this contemporary, but basically in the 70s,
I think it's 70s.
There's this little
actually,
this girl, you know, and she's just on a merry day, but then like her friends want to go investigate this haunted their own high school, and it's called Yokai Middle School, and conveniently naming, and they find that this yokai is actually like taking people's faces off, and like, oh no, but then Enma-kun and the yokai patrol are gonna stop him, and like, this is like a comedy action series, and it's just so awesome how this is. For starters, I've been listening to the opening song religiously for the past 2 weeks. Meta. It's Go Nagai stuff. This is actually was an anime in the 70s, and they're basically making it contemporary now. It's just so awesome. And also, I've heard some complaints about the very first few minutes where, like, you have a girl and she's throwing around, an old woman, she's, like, throwing around her old boobs. Yeah. But you know what? Yeah. It's Go Nagai humor. Go Nagai's humor basically comes down to two things. One, you have a friggin' upstart guy being a smartass. And two, you've got boobs and people and stone dick. Yeah. Things. So it's Go Nagai humor, don't mess with it, and it's just flat out hilarious. Your turn.
So, just to explain that a little bit, Go Nagai is this very famous manga creator and then anime creator. He did Mazinger Z and a lot of the classic mecha series. In Devilman, and he's well known for having bare breasts and blood and people dying and just being way more hardcore than other folks at the time. What's neat about this is the style is kind of elementary school adventure. Actually, if you've seen Ghost Stories, you know, forget the dub, but that basic kind of sort of premise where it's kind of school kids investigating spiritual stuff is the kind of thing. So it has this interesting nostalgic feel to it. And it is set in like the 60s or 70s, where, you know, the girl wears this very traditional style dress when she's wandering around, which is kind of a neat thing, something we don't typically see. And it's pretty, you know, it's well animated and it has its own distinctive style.
It's funny as hell.
It is quite interesting. Brad, what do you think of Enma-kun?
I thought it was good at first. I was annoyed by Enma-kun's voice actor.
I can understand that. Yep.
I had to push him into watching it.
Yeah. But I warmed up to it. The action was good. The humor was actually pretty funny, and it looked good for a 70s sort of reboot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it worked for me.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Also, like, if you're not convinced, watch the opening. You will be.
Yeah, that is
awesome.
That is kind of
family.
All of it brought together. All right, moving on to one of the other big titles of the season, Hanasaku Iroha.
Yep.
So, Brad, why don't you introduce this one?
I love this show.
Everyone does.
All right, Hanasaku Iroha is pretty much about a girl, and she has a very irresponsible mother and ends up getting sent off to work at an inn for her grandmother. Her grandmother does not get along well with her mother.
Or anyone.
And therefore does not get along with her. Yeah. After that, it sort of becomes a coming-of-age story. I've watched the first 3 episodes, and surprisingly, it gets nicer, not meaner as it goes along.
Good.
And it's just beautifully animated. It's got this nice sort of growing coming-of-age story to it, and I love all the characters, even the grandmother.
even Shanae girl.
You just love the grandmother's pipe.
I do like the pipe.
Yeah.
I actually caught something interesting. they do a lot that shows personality, and it's really subtle. Like, I think it's either the first or the second episode that the grandmother takes her pipe and she smacks it down on the ashtray to empty it. Only the Yakuza do that.
Yes. True. Yeah, that's nice. So Matt, why don't you jump in here?
This is a series. The first this is the first episode of the series that I just sort of did and didn't like. In the fact that I liked the art style, I liked the animation, and the sort of intro was really good, but then it just sort of went meh. Really, there was nothing happening for me. You know, it's like, and you know me, I'm not the kind of guy that just wants action.
Sure, yeah.
It's just for me, this just had nothing going on. It was like, oh, she's going to work really hard. Okay, like every other anime with a girl doing a job I've ever seen. You know, I mean, I liked it, and you know, I liked the characters, but you know, it's like they were introducing all the characters, and a lot of the characters were either something I'd seen before, or just there was nothing there. They were just like, it's like the one character that just said "just die" all the time. That's all she said, and I know that's supposed to be character building, but all it did for me was tell me there's no personality here. We will find out her blank personality later on. Again, I'll give the second episode a try. You know, you've always got to give you know, if you watch the first episode, you might as well watch the second one. But on this, it's just, I don't hold high hopes. You know, it's like when we were talking about this, when we were introducing it, I was like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. Now I'm just quite disappointed because it was just kind of boring for me.
I overhyped it a bit.
Well, a lot happens also in the second and third episode that will get your action juices going, Matt.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for. That the second episode is decent. It's just the first episode is quite boring.
You might want to move to the keep going for at least the third episode. That's the definitive yes or no.
Yeah, definitely.
Zan, how about you?
Yay. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, this is the other anime that I was referring to before that is going to be like one of the big hits, along with The Flower That Will Not Be Named. Yes, I'm sticking to that name. It is good. Interesting characters, interesting... I'm just going to get my notes. The notes, there we go. Great series that everyone's going to rave about next to The Flower That We Could Not Name. Interesting setup and even more interesting characters. And looking for something good to watch? Watch this. Also, just like... Episode 2, I like how when she was a little girl and she couldn't even believe or trust her mother, that she figured out that way to put out her anger and emotion just by that little thing. I thought it wasn't cute, but it was just like I can understand with that. It was very interesting. Also, you get to know the characters even more, and however, I do have to go with the nagging fact of Shine Girl. She only has 2 words she says, 2 catchphrases. Shine and Sumimasen.
Translate, please, for all the folks who don't know Japanese.
Sorry. Shine means die, and Sumimasen is I'm very, very sorry. Basically, there's Gomedasai, which just means sorry, but Shine is the next up to that. Yeah. And she says these all the time, pretty much. She's getting yelled at, Sumimasen. She meets the main character, Iroha, Shine. It's very predictable, but she will, I'm guessing, grow up in due time.
Yeah, I had kind of an interesting perspective on this one. I loved it. I actually liked, I'm not quite sure why, I liked the slow pace. I thought it worked very well as this, it felt very much like the first chapter of a larger story, which I think we don't get too much of these days. It's something where we're legitimately setting things up. I also found it very interesting, this idea of a girl getting thrown kind of into hell. Where she goes from this life where it's not that her life is incredibly easy, but she doesn't have, tremendous pressures on her. And now all of a sudden she has to, get up every morning and do these chores and do these jobs. Kind of reminded me of Spirited Away in a lot of ways.
I was going to say, except, not forced labor. Spirited Away, but, this has got more intro to the life prior than Spirited Away does, obviously, because Spirited Away jumps right into it. I was constantly thinking, this is just Spirited Away with an older person.
Very much. And I was glad, and I rewatched the opening credits out of curiosity, and I saw that, and I think, and the end credits, and I noticed that there are clips there of the various characters, like, oh, okay, they don't all hate each other. You know, they're all working together in Yevon Credits again, so you know, it's not that bad as they made it out. I loved the cinematography in this. This feels like a movie in a lot of ways. High quality animation, and just it's one of the more realistic anime too, which I like in terms of just character design and how folks move.
Did anyone get a Summer Wars feeling from the sort of atmosphere?
Good point.
Kind of.
Yeah, I actually had a little bit of a Girl Who Left Through Time feel.
Definitely, that's why it's obviously different art style to Girl Who Left Through Time, but very, very, very much so with the way it was all done.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. X in the chat room is right. The backgrounds in this are probably the best I've seen this season. You know, it's just gorgeous, gorgeous backgrounds. Stunning. So very interesting. All right, moving on to Hen-Zemi. Matt, you want to introduce this one?
Awesome. Yes. This is probably one of the most interesting, in a way, series that there is out there at the moment.
Yeah.
The main character, Nanako, is essentially picked her major when she got into college, and that was the abnormal physiology seminar, which is basically, you know, unusual body habits and sexual preferences kind of thing. And she's just basically like going through it, and she's supposed to be the only normal one there, you know, and everyone else is a freak.
Yeah.
She in her interactions with them, and just personally, you know, I mean, people will disagree with me on this, but in my opinion, best art style ever. I love this art style. It's so basic and cute and awesome and fantastic. It's like Mitsudomoe, but with more pastel colours. And I love pastel colours in anime. It's beautiful art style, and I love the character interaction. The characters are, you know, it's hard to find characters in an anime or a manga where they're all so varied. You know, these characters are all very, very different. You know, obviously they're all defined by their own fetish, in a way. You know, their own personal preferences with sex and the stuff that comes along with that. But you know, that's a good basis to make the characters, because the characters are basic, but they have their own unicity and their own humour and their own personality to them, which is really, really good. The one thing I will point out though is the OVA is better than I watched the OVA and I watched the first episode, and the OVA is better. But the thing is, with this kind of show and this kind of premise, you know, you need the freedom an OVA brings. With what they've got, what the restrictions the anime has got, then you know you can't have the same humour. You know, the OVA was definitely funnier, and you know, it's like, and one thing I was disappointed on, and yes, I'm going to talk about the intros again, is the intro to the anime was disappointing after I'd seen the hilariously, amazingly trippy LSD-based OVA intro, which was, "You will now be squished by a giant frog," which was awesome. But you know, it's probably my favourite of what I've watched. Wow. It's just fantastic, in my opinion.
Nice. Brad, what do you think?
I pretty much agree with Matt. I mean, the OVA was definitely better because you have to have that raunchy humor. When you move it over to an anime, it tones down. Not a lot, mind you, but it tones down enough to get rid of that raunchy humor that you originally experienced. It still does a really good job of playing off of the weirdness of the characters, and it makes humor out of things we find taboo. I mean, very taboo. and it makes it funny, and it does a really good job of that.
There's the one joke, just to, you know, put in a little, the one joke towards the middle, really, of the first episode, of the girl being on her period, and the guy wanting iron-based food, you know, stuff like that. And, you know, I was more surprised by the fact that, you know, because America, you might hear that kind of joke, maybe, you know, but Japan? You'd hear that joke? In Japan? Really? In Japan? You know, it's just, I didn't expect it, and that's what made it, you know, kind of just funnier, really. You know, the fact that it was so unexpected that it was just like, bam, Japan is talking about periods.
Yeah.
In Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan, how about you on Hen-Zemi?
That's actually the big shocker for a lot of anime this season. It's just like there's a lot of like, wow, I did not know Japan was this dirty. A lot of these anime. Hen-Zemi. Pull out my notes. I think, yeah. It's a 12-base series. The title literally means hentai seminar. Yes, I know it's like abnormal physiology. But one translation is also hentai seminar because they focus on those very gross little niche fetishes. This will be your cup. If you do like those things, this will be your cup of tea because that's mostly what the humor focuses on. It's super ultra dirty. The main girl, for example, she has this crush on this guy, but he mostly I guess he kind of likes her, but only because she's so pure and innocent. In a way. While I keep watching this, it's debatable. I don't know. I'm not really laughing through a lot of these episodes. I even watched episode 3 recently. I was just like, I understand the humor, but it's not as strong as the first OVA, and I think that's where I really got the shock factor. Hopefully, maybe later episodes will get more of that shock factor, but then it's meh.
I don't know. I'm hoping that the TV series can sort of go in a slightly different direction than that. That they can, keep up that overall theme, but basically tell a story with it. I also went and watched the OVAs. That's kind of scary that we all went and did that. And I thought it was hilarious. And there's a lot of character stuff there, but it was kind of nice to see that becoming more the focus, so that they don't have to rely on the kind of gross out humor, which is funny. And I'm extremely impressed that, considering the nature of it, it is absolute. I just almost died laughing at some of the stuff that's going on there. But I mean, the TV series definitely can't do what it did. But yeah, the visual style is really interesting. Not quite Wandering Sun, but kind of in that overall feel of just being a very specific color palette, and just really interesting.
Yeah, that's one. Just another thing to point on the art style. The art style really fits the humor.
Yeah, strangely.
You'd think this kind of humor would be more realistic art style, because realistic. Then you can imagine it yourself, and you can imagine it happening in reality. But this art style really fits the movement of the characters. It's like the one scene where it's all pitch black. For the people that remember that, where she's she's like sort of squirming. It really fits the character design. It's just like the body style, and it's like these girls. You feel like it's like if you look at the ending sequence, they're all walking in a line. You can see these are not made to be perfect. These are all skinny, beautiful, amazingly kind of things. They look real at the same time. They don't. It's grounded in realism, and I really like the art style. Again, I'm going on and on about the art style, but it was amazing. In my opinion, I love the art style.
Yeah, so Zan, a title that I put in the wrong place on here, Gintama Season 2.
Gintama. I actually got Brad to watch the first episode of this, which I feel very proud of.
Cool.
Gintama Season 2. The reason why it's basically the first season, if you want to technically call it a first season, lasts for about 201 episodes.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is it's a Shonen Jump title, and basically it was so popular that they kept on continuing it. Sunrise as a production anime, and I feel that they're very passionate about the series. The reason why they actually stopped was just because they didn't want to do any stupid filler stuff, and they're just like, you know what, stop, let Hideaki Soichi do his stuff, we'll wait, and then we'll come out with Season 2. And you know what? That's exactly what they did. They actually came up with a movie in the meantime. It sold big at the box office, and now it's doing, Season 2 is doing great with an explosive opening here. I even love the certain chapter they used to introduce it, because it makes so much sense, even though it was like, it was just released recently, but like, yeah, it fits so well. Same old Gintama, for those fans of you who are out there, watch it. If you haven't watched it and you like shonen, check out episode 3 on Anime Season.
Fair enough. Brad, what do you think?
Oh,
Brad, we lost your audio.
Oh,
Is
sorry.
it
It's okay.
Yeah.
I walked in on this on the 201st episode, was it?
No, 203rd.
203rd episode.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's Gintama. That's what it was. Its humor didn't fit my style of humor.
Okay.
It was good quality. It was made for Gintama fans, and I'm pretty sure it delivered pretty well.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, so let's move on from that to Hidan no Aria, aka Aria of the Scarlet Ammo. And
if anyone doesn't know why I'm talking, all my stuff's in the second half.
yeah, we'll get back to Miniman soon. No worries. I think I'll introduce this one. So, Hidan no Aria, Aria of the Scarlet Ammo, girls with guns, and I'm not complaining. So the main character goes to a school for armed detectives, because that happens in Japan all the time.
Of course.
So the main character is this, sort of typical anime protagonist, male anime protagonist, gets involved in this scary sort of terrorist-style situation, bomb on a bike type thing, and is essentially rescued by this pink-haired girl named Aria, that's called Ammo, who is voiced by Rie Kogumiya, for those who know who that is.
Yay!
And so basically, there's lots of gunplay and them pulling guns out of everywhere and shooting things. The main character has a secret, which I won't reveal here, but the reason he's going to this school, I'll put it this way, he has his own ability. And overall, it felt to me very much like they wanted to make a fun kind of James Bondy anime series. Cute girls, reasonably attractive guy, lots of guns, lots of just sort of crazy action, a little over the top, but just a lot of fun. And as we said in other series, high quality animation. I don't know where these budgets are coming from. And overall, it was really fun. Zan?
Yeah, it was actually really funny because this is the only anime that didn't show any clips from of the anime during their trailers. They just showed like the stills of the characters. I'm just like, are you hiding something from us? I actually read ahead. A friend of me sent me this manga. It's actually, first it was a light novel, then it was a manga, now it's an anime. Anyway, best action anime of the season prediction. Great action shots, and the story will get good for episode 4. Again, I've read the manga. The story gets actually some pretty touching when you actually see like the goal of the story. It's a pretty interesting one, really good one.
Cool.
And also, this is for pretty much everyone who watched the first episode and doesn't like it. Yes, she says, "Be my slave." Don't let that fool you. There is a reason why she says that, and also an alternate translation is "Be my henchman." Oh, and also the OP is done by Cheryl from Macross.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just like, Cheryl, what are you doing in here? But yeah, it'll be much better later. The story will get much more developed by episode 4. Guarantee it.
So, Brad, what did you think of Hidan no Aria?
Good animation quality, like you said. The slave line did throw me off, but once Zan explained it, I kind of let it go.
Yeah.
By the second episode, it makes more sense. It's pretty entertaining. It's got the action. The second episode was more character development than anything.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep watching it, but 2 episodes I don't think is enough for this series. Not quite yet, so I can't tell.
Fair enough. All right, moving on to an anime that is kind of surprising in a lot of ways, Hyouge Mono. So this is basically, oh boy, how to describe it?
I can explain it.
All right, go for it, Zan.
All right, so it's a fictional-based drama around the people and events of the Sengoku era, where Furuta Sasuke, a warrior for Oda Nobunaga,
Hello?
Oda Nobunaga. Sengoku era.
We're
Furuta Sasuke is a warrior for this lord. However, he seems to take the pleasures of tea ceremony closer to his heart than being a warrior. It's a very well-made drama that it doesn't, and I think that this is a big worry when we preview this. It does not confuse you, folks. Not confuse you. maybe there's some subtleties, and maybe you won't understand the tea ceremony, but it won't confuse you because it's so Japanese. That's not really an issue. It's dramatic, it's suspenseful, and it's sometimes just hilarious because basically this guy just loves the tea ceremony so much. When he sees like a very well-made tea ceremony bowl, he's just like, just his eyes open, just like his jaw drops, just like, this is this bowl. And he just like stops fighting altogether. It's not like comedy, like typical like moe comedy and stuff. It's just like he's just so shocked. He is just passionate about this stuff, and it's so well. Also, I love the OP because it reminds me of 70s secret agent films.
Yeah, I had an interesting reaction to this one. It looked to be like it was a drama. You know, I thought it would be just total, you know, samurai, ancient era, ends up taking over kind of the tea ceremony. Turns out it's pretty darn goofy a lot of the time.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
the first episode is.
It's really it can be really fun. You know, the character wigs out a lot of the time, and what's interesting though is that's also counterpointed with a lot of serious elements to it. So it's kind of schizophrenic. They got Ko Otani to do the music of Gundam Wing. So if you know that music, which is very bombastic, a lot of brass, a lot of just big, huge music, it uses that both for the drama and for the comedy. So it has that kind of feeling that it's in a sense, it is trying to push its premise as far as it can possibly go, both in terms of this character's sort of super devotion to what he wants, as well as sort of the drama of the situation he's in. So very interesting, very different. Probably not one of the you know, biggest budgeted series of the season. You know, it's fine, but it certainly isn't as lush as the other series we've been talking about here. But definitely different.
Yeah, has anyone else watched this?
I the chat.
The chat's watched it.
For this one didn't pass over so well for me. I didn't like the humor in it, and I'm a little biased because I'm not a big fan of the Sengoku era anime, any of them, really. So it was just kind of meh for me.
Fair enough.
I just want to say this, episode 2, it delivers one of these big, like, shocking things where I'm not sure what exactly happens. Not because it was confusing, just like, no, did that just happen? Because it was so, whoa.
So who else has seen it? Anyone else? Matt, maybe? Nope? Okay. All right.
The room is quiet.
So, let's move on from there.
I'm laughing at the legend of Koizumi right now.
Matt, I believe you watched the beginning of the second season of Holic.
I indeed did. So, just to explain the basic premise of Holic in general, main character that I've actually forgotten the name of goes to a Catholic school, the same place her parents met and fell in love, to meet her love, but it just happens that she is a lesbian, and it's a Catholic girls' school. Convenient. And, you know, it's just basically all about her getting in awkward situations where she's in, you know, she's attracted to a certain girl and nosebleed situations, blah, blah, blah. And a side note that she gets hives whenever a boy touches her, and she meets a beautiful young girl that turns out to be a cross-dressing boy. That will be explained later. But, you know, the second season is pretty much more of that. You know, the jokes, the fun, and the strange situations. You know, that's basically all it is again. But again, the first season did it well, and the second season keeps up that consistency. You know, there's no drop in quality from what I've seen so far of the second series. And what the first series did well is it had the jokes, and then it went into, you know, the serious bits when it needed the serious bits, which hopefully the second season will do and keep doing. But, you know, again, wonderful art style. I always have a problem with this sort of, I don't know what I'd put it as, maybe the shoujo art style of when she goes into sort of dream sequences. Very, very off-putting, the long, skinny arms. I don't like that. But again, I'm in love with the art style of Hen-Zemi, so people will disagree with me.
Yeah.
Of course.
it's consistent. That's, it's really hard to explain it to anyone that hasn't seen the season 1. But if you like season 1, you will like season 2. It's basically more of the same. So if you didn't like season 1, you likely didn't watch all of season 1 anyway. But so don't watch. It's unique. So watch season 1 and watch season 2, and I'm pretty sure if you like season 1, you will enjoy season 2. It's all good. Art style's nice, except for the dream sequences.
Fair enough. Brad, you actually picked up something that came out in the middle of last season, so it's kind of a weird one. Morita-san wa Mukuchi. Why don't you talk about that one?
1 second. Let me remember what that one is. Oh, that one. It's just, it's about a girl. She's very quiet. She doesn't say anything, even to her friends. And so she's got some louder, more outgoing friends. One of them finds her kind of scary. One of them is trying to be really friendly with her, and she just doesn't speak, and that leads to some funny, kind of relaxing-ish situations where you just sit back and enjoy the situational comedy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Zan, you saw this too?
Yeah, I did. Me and Brett both. Anyway, I think I wasn't sure if she was mute. I think maybe it would have worked better if she was mute, honestly. But whatever. Very cute. I think actually I was talking to my cousin about this, and she thought that all the girls were lesbians for her. Just what? Anyway, but it's very cute, very sweet, and I don't know what all the episodes are, so I watched the first one.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to one that I know. Excuse me. A lot of folks are curious to know what we can think about it. Nichijou, aka.
Really quick, what about Bridge to the Starry Sky, also known as Hoshi Zora e Karu?
That Bridge to the Starry Skies, that came out like
Hoshi
4
Zora
years
e
ago.
Kakuru Hashi.
Yeah, that came out like 4 years ago.
It did?
Yeah.
It did, just the stream suddenly picked up on it because it became simulcasted.
Yeah. So, Nichijou, My Ordinary Life, which is quite an interesting little thing. I think I'll introduce this one. So, Nichijou is the Kyoto Animation Moe Blob series of the season, and I say that with no issues whatsoever. Fun slice-of-life comedy, a little more random than, say, Lucky Star. I describe it as kind of a Lucky Star crossed with Yotsubato, in the sense that there's much more of a sort of enjoying everyday, quiet feel to it than Lucky Star, which is a little bit more just kind of goofy comedy. And I think Lucky Star is a little bit more conversational, whereas Nichijou is a little bit more kind of visual pratfall, physical humor based. But similar, cute characters, interacting, things like that. Fun series, I think. Zan?
Yeah, actually this comedy style does have a name. I like to call it absurdist comedy because it's dignified that way. But most people call it here in the States random comedy because it's random. Anyway, this show will make you laugh yourself silly over and over again. Great when you had a bad day and you needed something to cheer yourself up. I love the rock, paper, scissors part of the show. It's like in the middle, it's like, Nishi-san, Junkin Bone.
Which means what again?
And the certain girl has a certain something always coming out of her hand instead of a rock, paper, or scissors. Like a bun roll or something like that. It's just a great show, and I think anyone who loves humor can get into this. Also, just to talk about the opening and endings, I love the part in the opening where it's like doom doom da ba, and then all of a sudden this girl with a machine gun just comes out. And also, I know that you love the ending a lot, Brent, I believe.
I don't remember it.
The ending, no, I thought someone said something about it.
Yeah. Don't remember one way or the other.
Okay, then. Well, yeah, it's just a really funny show. Very good exercise comedy, just great. Anyway, going on.
Yeah, fun show. Alright, moving on to Zan, why don't you introduce Oretachi ni Subasa wa nai?
Ah, yes, this one. Oretachi ni Subasa wa, or Angels Without Wings, I believe is the actual translation.
Roughly, yeah.
Basically, at first glance, this seems to be just like your typical harem / dating sim anime of the season. I don't know if it is. However, it seems to have like 2 stories, 3 if you count the one that we hardly ever see, going on in the episode. One story seems to be this one about this this guy who does odd jobs around this like kind of like this night sort of town, and just kind of works doing that. Another seems to be like this guy who kind of like a funny guy, works as a freelance writer and is basically kind of in love with this writer in this book, and he's now working as a waiter at this same bar where she works as a maid, and stuff goes on from there. It's definitely worth a look at each story and each area going on. It's interesting, simple enough. Yeah.
Cool. Let me see here. Did anyone else watch that one? I don't think so.
I did.
Yeah.
Brad did.
Brad, go for it.
I did not like this one. I mean, it was okay at first. It had some off-putting scenes, just a little too ecchi. The second episode, a little too far at the very beginning, if anyone sees that. And what bugged me about it was that the comedy, even though it was okay, it was schizophrenic and just all over the place, and the transitions between the different characters were not that natural.
Okay.
They just sort of flew around.
Fair enough.
For the record, the fan service I don't think is that bad. Like, first episode, there's only 2 penny shots. What they do, in my opinion. And also, they weren't like, oh, penny shot. No, like, first one was a kid actually just pulled up a little girl's dress, like a little 5-year-old. Yeah. But yeah, if it's your cup of tea, go ahead and watch it. I think it's interesting.
Okay. Alright, Miniman gets to pull back in thanks to a little anime called Pretty Rhythm Aurora Dream.
Oh, great show. Alright, Pretty Rhythm, odd show. Pretty Rhythm Aurora Dreams is a show about a bunch of, it's about the girl, like, there's this girl, and on TV there's a thing called the Prism Tournament.
Okay.
And the Prism Tournament, and basically, just before I explain, this is, I've never heard of one of these before. This is an ice dancing anime. Okay? It's about ice skating and ice dancing.
Okay.
And and basically she tries to enter this prison tournament, and it's all about sort of, it like encompasses, you have to be good at music, you have to be able to do like these ice skating things called like prism jumps, where they like make loads of things appear and stuff. It looks really cool. Like her one is and basically it's like you know how in Yu-Gi-Oh you get the heart of the cards? In this you get the heart of the clothes.
Okay.
It's really odd, makes no sense, and is awesome. It just is so pointless and so funny just to watch, because it's just ridiculous. Like, it's not great. It's not, but it's like one of those kids shows which you just have to watch to be like, what have I just seen? It is really weird and almost in a way sort of kind of sexist, and that's just like the girls must look pretty and have to dance and sing and stuff. And like, but it's really fun. It's absolutely stupid. The music's great. I mean, it's a very musical show.
Okay.
And it's just, it's ridiculously fun, and also the animation is awesome because it switches into CG when they do the ice dances.
Ah, nice.
And it's like all 3D, and then like, all the environments are really cool, and it's got this really cool thing of they were a bit lazy with background characters. All the background characters are silhouettes of colours. But whenever they interact with them, depending on how they talk to them, which character it is, they'll change colour. So there's this like really sort of just normal kind of boring solicitor guy, and he's talking to someone, and the guy goes green, and then the really cute girl runs past him and then says hi to the person, and the guy suddenly turns pink, and the solicitor just looks at him and just turns grey again.
Okay. That's cool.
It's really fun, just a bit really stupid, isn't it?
All right, so Brad, why don't you tell us a little bit about Sekai-ichi Hatsukoi, the gay one?
The show one?
I know.
Okay. All right. Basically, it's about a gay guy. And he wants to be a publisher for novels, but he gets hired by a company that publishes shoujo manga.
Which he hates.
You know, can I spoil this one? Because I don't think anyone's going to watch the show.
I'd go for it. Yeah.
You can also watch the OVA, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Basically, he gets hired. His boss is an ex-lover from high school. And so then it's just it's almost like a childish ranting about how there's one of them so hurt about the high school years and bad humor. It's just it was okay, but not something I follow.
Then what did you think?
I think it's the best romance of the year. I don't think it's that childish. I think it's just like there's a misunderstanding, and like most Japanese relationship stuff, there's always a misunderstanding. I mean, look at Macross. That's full of misunderstandings. Anyway, again, probably the best romance in the series, in my opinion. Recommended that you watch the OVA and then watch the series. It just makes more sense. Also, for those of you who just finished watching Bakuman and don't want to read the manga, check out this until season 2 of Bakuman comes out, because basically it focuses on the editorial side of manga. Yes, it's not shonen and shoujo, but still, it like gives you another look into the manga world.
Fair enough.
And I think this is also like, it's also kind of one of those stories as well.
Cool.
I like the romance, honestly. It works. And also there's like the funny bits, but also I like the manga bit of it as well. Like the editors like deciding like how many copies of this manga are going to be coming out and stuff like that. It's interesting. And also the romance ain't too bad as well.
That's cool.
I remember episode 3 as well, just hilarious how like he's like, I don't want to talk to him, but I'll just manuscripts. Hello? Damn it, don't just send me my fax. It's funny. Anyway.
Fair enough. It sounds like a fun one.
Yeah.
All right. And meanwhile, Matt decided to venture into the world of Seikon no Qwaser with the first episode of the second season of Seikon no Qwaser.
Wait, I haven't watched it. Never mind.
I did.
Yeah.
It's really hard to explain the plot of this. Basically, 2 girls lost their father, and now bad shit happens. Years later, and that's really, really it. These good people fight bad people, and everyone gets their power from breast milk. That is really it.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Directly from the breast.
Yes.
Directly from the boobies. Yes, they've got to suckle the jubblies to get the superpowers. I don't know where that came from. But, the weirdest thing about this was, though, I didn't realize this was a second series. I watched this thinking it was, I just didn't read the title. There's a 2 at the end. Notice there's a 2, man. But I watched this thinking it was a first series. And the way the first episode played out, it's the first series in my eyes. You're being introduced to all these things. There's no characters that I had no idea who they were. They're just all... It was a first series to me. I didn't realize it was a second series. Even after I'd watched the second episode, it wasn't until I looked at the title that I was like, oh yes, there's a 2. But it's like
there's 2 eyes.
Yeah, it's but it's standard art style. It's nothing amazing. It's pretty typical. Nothing surprising anywhere. The animation, same quality. The cinematography, however, of the uncensored version is, the censored version is shit. To be not blunt, it is shit. To be blunt, it's crap. It's just bad, because obviously, they've got to somehow avoid showing the suckle of the breasts, and they chose a bad way to, let's show the moonlight sky again. Let's show the moonlight sky again. But anyway, onto the characters were okay. The main problem I had with one of the characters was breasts the size of small children.
Yeah.
This woman was just like running with giant breasts that could probably beat a giant ox to death.
That's no moon. It's a breast.
That's no planet. That's a pair of jubblies.
That's no moon.
It's a
Spaceship. Oh, it does breast.
This is the only one of the series so far that I've watched more than one episode of.
Wow,
It is so amazingly shit. It is funny. I watched this. This is the weird thing as well. I watched this with my girlfriend.
Wow.
Weird.
How did you pull that one off?
So much. We were just laughing our asses off. It was so funny. It's like, now my girlfriend texts me all the time and says, giant breasts.
Wait, so like, is there an uncensored version, or
there is an
is it
uncensored
actually? Okay, because if you want to see bad censoring, freezing Funimation edition. I have not laughed so hard at a censor before.
Also 30-year-old Virgin's Guide.
Yeah.
It covers the whole doll.
I also want to point out that I really want to see the moment when Matt's parents see his text message history.
But yeah. But it's sort of, if you can get past the incredible pointlessness of this show, you know, just pointlessness of the show, and the pervertedness, the characters are reasonably decent. You know, there is thought behind these characters. You know, it's like the guy of this series. The one problem I have with this like badass, like fighting alchemist guy is the fact that he's 13, and not the fact that exactly that he's 13. It's just he's 13, like every other badass character in every anime ever. You know, it's like, and he doesn't look 13. It's like, can we not just have animes where people are above the age of consent?
Yeah. No. No.
It's like, you know, and there's this whole religious undertone to this series. It's like, it's really hard to say if this show is good or bad because it's both.
Yeah.
Because it's so bad, it is really funny. You know, if you think this show is serious, you know, that's one thing. I don't think this show takes itself seriously. You know, it's like the people that think, oh, this has got an amazing story and it all makes sense. They're stupid. If this show is really the point where you don't take your brain out to watch this, it takes your brain out for you. Watch this and you can probably feel your brain run down your chest as you run down your ear.
Fair enough.
That should be a fatality in the next Mortal Kombat. Just show him Seikon no Quater. Watch it.
And your brain just explodes.
Yeah, one of the other problems with Qwaser actually is the fact that at least the first season clearly didn't know anything about the religions it was trying to deal with.
Yeah.
Because I am familiar with those religions, and it's like, no, you know, you got nothing remotely right.
In the second season, I cannot tell what religion they're referring to.
Okay.
I honestly cannot.
That's good. That's good. Hopefully they just kind of genericize it enough. So it's like,
Ask from Seikon no Quaser. Hey, who was born in 0 BC in Christian terms? Astaroth.
Batman.
Who can read in space? All right, moving on. So let's talk about a series I actually like quite a bit. Sengoku Otome, Time Paradox. Brad, why don't you start this one off?
This is the exception to that not liking Sengoku period anime.
Kind of series is only.
I actually do like this one. It's fun. It doesn't take itself seriously at all, and it's just pretty cool. Like that's the best way to put it. I mean, it's not awesome. It's not bad. It's not anything amazing. It's just cool. You sit back, you watch it, you have a little bit of fun. You got the ditzy girl, you got the action scenes, and then you got the goofy scenes, and it's all just good fun, kind of cool.
Yeah. Zen?
Alright then, let me get my notes again. There we go. Sengoku Otome. First of all, love the opening with the... Anyway, so first of all, those of you who haven't watched it, it's not what you think just because there's girls on the cover. And
well, it kind of is.
It's a world. Well, yeah. Well, okay. Anyway, so first of all, it has potential for some and basically. Okay, so if one out of 10 people were interested enough to like look up the more information on Tychus from 300, that's 10 cents a warning anyway. So far, it's going to be a comedy action, but it ain't too bad. It's definitely worth a watch. Also, it's just like it's just a really good watch. I mean, it is. I don't know what I'm going to say.
What struck me particularly about this actually is the fact that it manages to do a lot of things surprisingly well. It has comedy, it has outright drama, it has a variety of characters, it has a very odd premise, but all of them worked for me. It was, the comedy was fun, the characters were all interesting, none of them got particularly annoying. The premise I bought after a while, and the thing is, it's a light series. There's not much going on here. It's there to sit down and enjoy, and to have more attention paid to these things than in most anime. It's definitely a high quality light series, if you will. So it's a little like K-On! In a lot of ways. There's not too much there, but what's there is nicely done and entertaining. So, fair enough. Matt, what did you think of it?
I'm going to disagree with all of you and say this was just kind of poor. It was just, again, it was just not that it didn't do anything bad. It was just boring for me. It's like I was really interested at first in the action scene. Like it introduces you with an action scene, and I think that's very rudely and horribly misleading because it isn't an action series. It's a sort of pseudo-comedy, action-y-esque, maybe, thing. And I didn't like the main character. I thought she was an entitled little prissy piece of poop that needed to be squashed by a big fly swatter. Again, it's just, this series did nothing to make me like any of the characters other than the badass big-breasted boob with blades.
You mean Nobunaga?
I think so, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember names. But, that character was the only character I found genuinely interesting. But the main character was just very typical and very boring. It's like, I can understand. It's like, I would recommend this series to people that were bored. It's like, if you want something to watch and I don't really feel like thinking about another anime, watch this one. But there are so many better animes of this season. It's like, most animes of this season are better. It's like, and that are light watchers. You can watch something, I mean, I wouldn't exactly compare it to Hen-Zemi because it's a totally different humour style, but if you can handle that kind of humour, watch Hen-Zemi and you'll have a better time. But, it's like, you could watch anything else that sort of you consider a light anime to watch, that it isn't hardcore like Deadman Wonderland or something, and very likely have a better time, and be more invested in the characters than at least I was in this.
Fair enough.
I also like how the main character asks wait, but if the world's full with only women, how are babies born? The stork.
I have to admit, I did laugh at that. I thought that was just, okay, she's kind of a moron. Fair enough. But
I think that's also kind of the point. Otherwise, if we had someone who was actually intelligent, she would know exactly what happened in the Sengoku era and thus spoil everything for the people who don't know.
True. I also did find it kind of interesting that kind of her ability is the fact that, like, she's watched kung fu films.
Yeah.
And so, and the thing is, it's not that she's trained in martial arts. She's just seen enough of this stuff from, 100 years and hundreds of years from now that it gives her that just slight edge that I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah. Also, historical fact: Nobunaga was also known as the Sixth Demon Lord back then.
So, Miniman comes back into the mix with Showa Monogatari. Miniman, what did you think of that?
Showa Monogatari is very interesting anime. It's a sort of drama based in 39th Showa period, so 1964, the year that Japan hosted the Olympics. And before you think that, Only the first episode's came out today or yesterday, and basically it doesn't really focus on the Olympics at all. As much as it works more just about sort of a family and their relationships, and it's a very lovely series. I mean, for example, it's just quite like interesting and sort of it's very fun look at how you go through it. I mean, it has some dramatic moments, but it's never like too dark and dramatic. Like it's the first episode in New Year's. It's about this, and like you've got three main focuses. You've got the kid of the thing, who's sort of the main focus of the thing. You've got his older sister, and that sort of dabbles with love a little bit. And then you've got the father, who sort of it's more the father and his relationship with the guy's brother, who's a university student.
And this is an anime that, as I recall, was trumpeted as the first anime specifically aimed at seniors.
Yeah,
which kind of
it's extremely nostalgic. Like I can imagine for them, they would get a lot of nostalgia for it. There's a lot of, for example, there's a very funny sequence with the kid, and I want to show you sort of the difference between hormones then and hormones now, because they pretty much see like a picture, drawing of a woman, and she's got about that much of her breast showing, and they freak out. It's so funny, and then they go sort of searching for more because all the shops are closed, and see what they can find, and they got caught with their dad, and then it's got like a sort of thing about the economy and how so there's this thing between them, and it dabbles with some topics such as sort of sexism of the time, and sort of different things, but you have this very sort of strong family, and actually like the story of them is absolutely wonderful, and it's the music in this series is amazing.
Oh, interesting.
As in the first episode, they pretty much, as far as I can tell, each episode is just entirely scored.
Interesting.
Like a film. It's incredible.
Cool.
And the animation has some CG in it, surprisingly, and very good use of it. Like when they knock over the Kotatsu, that's in CG and stuff. And it's just very fun, very good series. And I recommend watching. Like, it's aimed for seniors, but you can have so much fun with it. It's just sort of a nice little thing. And also, when you look at the end it always shows it, and also it's the opening theme as well, is them showing you pictures of what a place is like now, pictures of the same place in 1964, and their interpretation of it in the drawing, and it's just, it's beautiful.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. I definitely want to check that one out, once I can find it. Alright, Zan, what did you think of a little show called Sket Dance?
Sket Dance! You'll be hearing that somewhat. That show is just great. Anyway, so Sket Dance, it's another Shonen Jump anime this season. It's going to be the whole spring season. Anyway, it's a comedy mystery show. More primarily around comedy, but it's also mystery for plot. Very similar style of humor to Gintama. It kind of has its own twist, though. Anyway, so interesting characters, good humor, and it starts getting good at episode 2. Don't let the first one bother you too much. And the ending song is done by The Pillows. I don't know the last time they've ever been involved with anime, honestly. But yeah, Sket Dance, some really interesting characters, especially a character known as Switch, who basically talks through a computer, and he's just always full of laughs, really. Summary, duh. Basically, the Sket Dance Brigade is basically these kids who, their club is basically helping out other kids in the high school. And they're led by Boston, also known as Yusuke, Onihime, who's basically this ex-Yankee girl, who's basically like the brawn of the group, and Switch, who's like the brains of the group, and basically has a computer by him at all times.
Miniman, what did you think?
It's amazingly stupidly funny. I mean, I was sort of, I got this series really hyped up for me, and I was by my friend, and I was very worried it wouldn't live up to it. And there are some moments where I think in episode 3 it attempts drama, not fun. When it attempts drama, it still tries and puts in laughs with it. doesn't work. You know, because it just makes the jokes seem unfunny and the drama seem stupid. That's the only real complaint I have with the series of when it attempts to do drama, because when it doesn't, it's full-on forced laughs. There's a brilliant sequence with the monkey and the bomb.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Also with the samurai and mints.
Yeah. And it's like, but everyone has some sort of ability, like, Onihime just gets super violent. Boston, if he puts on his goggles, he concentrates so hard that his brain starts burning out. But it's so, like, super concentrated that he can figure out anything, even though he's an idiot. And then just Switch, he can get any information from anything, but the fact that he talks through his computer has so many jokes in it. Because a lot of the time it keeps going to close-ups of their faces when they're doing, like, at one point they will do, like, a sort of team attack, and it does the whole zoom into their face. It's like, team thing! And then it's just his mouth completely still. Just... And it's just so stupid. Like, I didn't... The problem is every time it gets into drama, it just annoys me.
Well, it's only one time, though. Or was it the first episode you're counting?
I'm also including the first episode.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, you know, even for its small faults, it's a brilliant show, and I cannot see people passing on this. It's just so funny, and it just brings on the best sort of just laugh that anyone can sort of enjoy.
Brad, what do you think?
And plus, Pervy Monkey is hilarious.
For the most, like, I agree with Miniman and Zan almost all the way. I just take that down about 1 or 2 notches, and that's about where I stand.
Okay. You'd have to take me down a few more notches than that, to be honest. This is the other series that I just couldn't get through, the first episode. Not that I hated it, it just, you know, the characters all lacked interest for me, and the humor seemed very banal. Just, you know, the kind of jokes I've seen a lot. Miniman uses the term stupid comedy a couple times. I think that's very accurate. It's kind of like the Police Academy movies. You know, things which is the kind of humor that just isn't my style. So for me, this is one of those things that just didn't work for me, just because the style is different. And I can totally see it as one of those, you know, Shonen Jump comedies. You know, totally fine, but just, you know, not my cup of tea personally. Speaking of comedies, Soft Tenny.
Am I a little bit watch this?
See it and have to go.
Go ahead.
Oh boy. Well, okay, so first impression, soft tennis is basically about, you know, a group of girls who are part of the soft tennis team. I'll get into that later. At first glance, I thought, oh, this is an interesting idea. A sports manga, but shaped up for girls. I haven't seen anything like that before. It's an ecchi comedy series, and a bad one at that.
I wouldn't call it ecchi.
Well, for me, it was like dumb joke after dumb joke for me.
Okay.
Some of the jokes are ecchi, but some of them are just like, oh, she likes to eat, so she's going to catch the fish ball with her mouth.
Okay.
I watched the first episode, I was just kind of disappointed, because I'm like, oh, that's a good idea, and you're just having the girls be ecchi and dumb. Okay. Okay, well, I'm done. Thank you.
Anyone else seen it?
He told me not to watch it.
I watched it. I really enjoyed it, actually. It's basically K-On! You know, it's girls who are kind of dumb in a club, which never really does anything. And it's just, you know, goofy comedy to me.
Well, one problem I also had was, why soft tennis? I mean, does soft tennis exist?
Yeah.
Really? Because women can play tennis anyway, whatever.
Soft tennis is basically like softball.
Yeah, I know that, but I've never ever seen it. If a girl plays tennis, she plays regular tennis. I've never seen soft tennis, honestly.
Well,
because how powerful the ball goes.
It's mostly Japanese.
Yeah.
But it is a big thing in Japan. Yeah. And, you know, again, like softball. You know, it's just a slower version of the game. Yeah, I thought it was just, you know, a fun, inoffensive comedy. I'll put it that way. It's just one of those things where, okay, it's there, it's silly jokes, but it's more kind of the slice of life. I'm trying to remember which anime it reminded me of. Obviously, the Lucky Star comparisons are kind of obvious. But there's a certain brand of that just very calm, almost medicated comedy.
Hang on.
I don't know.
Now I'm thinking about it too. Asa-moa.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. That kind of that feel of being kind of absurdist, but also on this very odd level. But anyway, fair enough.
Yeah. Maybe I was just thrown off because it wasn't what I expected, but who knows?
Yeah. All right. Complete opposite side of the equation there would be Steins Gate.
Another big anime this season.
And let me take this one since this is the most Wayne-like, and I'm kind of the Wayne guy here.
Go ahead, good sir.
So Steins Gate is an adaptation of a visual novel, which was partly famous for the fact that it was released on consoles first, so it had no sexual content on it, which is kind of ballsy for a studio to do, or for a company to do. So this is basically a near-future story about a bunch of people who discover a technology that allows them to send text messages across time. And the strong implications of that kind of ability. It has this distinctive visual style that is kind of a muted color palette. It looks a lot like Serial Experiments Lane, actually. The character designs have been somewhat changed from their very distinctive style in the visual novel, which I think would have been just very hard to do in anime, to something that is still very different. The main character is this odd kind of mad scientist guy who is clearly delusional, but funny in his own way, and the other characters around him. It treads this interesting line of having some very dramatic, very serious stuff happening, murder, while also some weird comedy of this guy talking to you. And to give you an idea of how far this series goes, there's a sequence in the middle of the series where the main character literally breaks the fourth wall. He literally turns to you and starts talking to you, the fan who is watching the show. Yeah, it's different. And the first episode is certainly set up. So it's not the kind of thing that everyone's going to love, but I found it intriguing. And clearly it's going to need some time to really establish itself and really come together. But I thought it was, for a dramatic sci-fi series, a good first step.
Yeah.
Zan, go for it.
Alright then. Steins Gate is a wild science fiction that keeps on making you think. I actually have it as my Skype note that I just pulled out a whiteboard to calculate the science of a gel banana going back to its thing using time travel. God, I love anime. Let's see here. It keeps me thinking. The characters are vibrant and interesting, and the plot seems to keep on getting thicker and thicker. Horin Kyoma is a great character that sometimes seems to be solving things, while other times seems to just be nuts.
And who is that again?
The main character,
okay.
Horin Kyoma. I think he has another name, but yeah, the crazy mad scientist. A definite must check out. And one of the many that needs to be checked out. Great.
Brad, how about you?
I love this one and have a hard time figuring out exactly why.
Yeah.
Because usually I have the hardest time following a crazy main character.
Yeah.
Like, if you give me a main character who has his own mental disabilities and puts me in the world he sees, I get very confused. But this one I'm just enjoying all the way through. The animation's great. The story's moving along at a nice pace to where things are getting comprehensible. And it's enjoyable. I recommend it to friends,
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. All right, Suzanne, why don't you take Tiger and Bunny?
Yay! Alright, Tiger and Bunny. Basic premise. What if superheroes were like NASCARs?
Yeah.
The basic plot files around these set of superheroes. Basically, they're the protectors of this one city. However, they're basically to get paid and to actually keep on doing what they love. They have to get sponsored, and you see sponsorships on all of these NASCARs. this one guy called Sky High. He's actually sponsored by Ustream, as said by his jet plate. There's a girl who's sponsored by Pepsi. What else is there? Buddy, the other main character, is sponsored by Bandai. There's even like this ninja character who's sponsored by anime.
Yeah.
There's anime on the side of this thing, and it's just great. Also, but the characters are also really good. The more main character, Tiger. I know he has a real name. And his name is Wild Tiger.
Yeah.
He's like a superhero, and he has like this old. He's seen as an old superhero actually. He's about He's about 30 years old maybe, and he has a child at home who's basically watched at his mom because she's in another part of town because obviously he can't be seen as secret identity and all that. He has that complex.
Yeah.
His partner, however, is the exact opposite. Shows off his face first time, just like, hey, I'm Barnaby. Doesn't even have a name, but like Tiger calls him Bunny because of his ears on his outfit. And it's like, it's so interesting because it's like Western. It's like not like Gunsmoke kind of thing, but like it's like a Western cartoon almost.
Yeah.
It's like a buddy cop cartoon almost. It's like Starsky and Hutch almost, but with superheroes. Also, the other superheroes are super interesting. I love the ninja guy. He's like, yes, I'm out of sight.
I love the bull guy personally.
Oh yeah, he's also great too. And like, it seems like in the next episode we're going to be introduced to even more of them. The Pepsi girl. It's like, yeah, I'm just so excited.
Nice.
This is also one of those must-check-out anime. We have 4 of them now. Also, I have one other little note. Far better than an anime letter X.
So the interesting thing for me about Tiger and Bunny, it actually reminded me a bit of Watchmen. Not in the sense of the plot or anything, but in the sense that Watchmen had this sense that all the superheroes knew each other. They would meet for drinks. And there was a lot of the psychology of what it meant to be a superhero, and that's very much what Tiger and Bunny, focuses on. Yes, there's these big action sequences and so forth, but it's really about what do you sacrifice by being a superhero, and what are your responsibilities in doing that. And it's much lighter and goofier in tone, but it's really fun. If you've seen IGPX, it looks kind of like that visually. A lot of CGI, not just very colorful, but very flashy, which is a good thing. And it has a fun, goofy sense of humor where you can have, excuse me.
So you can have coughing.
There's this big event at the end of one of the episodes, and all the characters go there, and so they dress up in tuxedos on top of their superhero uniforms.
Yeah.
And nobody says anything about it. That's just what they're wearing. And it's just those little things. And it is also interesting the fact that a little off-putting. This woman is sponsored by Pepsi, not Tepsi, not Depsi, the actual brand Pepsi.
Well, it doesn't say Pepsi next, but yeah.
But it's real brands. Which actually, and the other interesting thing is there's also a reality show component where these cameras swoop in and they get points for different things they do, and
saving pedestrians.
Pedestrian saves 50 points, which adds this whole interesting sort of social commentary aspect to it, which I thought was interesting.
I saw this one as well. I liked it, but it wasn't my niche.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that's one of those things where it's going to attract a very specific audience. And that's fine.
But also you just love the main character. Oh, one thing I should really quickly explain. They have superhero powers. Some of them, it's not completely explained. Basically, there's it's basically mutant powers is how it works.
Yeah.
There's no hit by a radioactive truck or anything like that.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to take a quick break and then come back in just a few minutes. Be right back. Beep. And we are back. Sorry about that quick delay. So we were just finishing up talking about Tiger and Bunny. I believe, Zan, you were finishing up, you talked about that?
I just wanted to say that basically the superpowers work like X-Men style, where basically it's mutant powers, and it doesn't work like Spider-Man style, where you're hit by a radioactive truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to explain that.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
And indeed, Zane, you also got a chance to watch some of Toriko.
Yes. Toriko, for those of you who haven't watched another Shonen Jump manga this spring, basically it's kind of like One Piece in terms of basically it's about this world where like all this.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again? You broke up a bit.
Oh, sorry. It's basically like adventure and finding those foods and like creating the ultimate menu. And that's actually what the main character Toriko's goal is, to make the perfect full course menu of his life. The anime, however, has two problems that I have issues with. One, why is almost everything colored pink? I swear to God, everything in this series is pink. The gorillas are pink. The main bad guy is colored pink. In fact, we're actually seeing him in the series, and that kind of pisses me off. Excuse my French. Yeah, there's too much pinkness. Actually, Karin said, like, everything, the colors and the pastels. I'm like, yeah, probably. Yeah, it was very toned down for the kids.
Yeah, you're dropping out big time, Zan.
Right.
Did drop it out, yo. I can't think of a rhyme,
okay,
yo.
how about 1 2 1 2? Is this better?
That's better.
Yeah. All right then. So yeah, another problem that I had was that Komatsu, the kind of like the straight man / sidekick of the show, he sounds like a teenager or a kid, and he's a head chef of a 5-star restaurant. He's an adult, yet he sounds like oh, Toriko-san. Like, come on, give him a better voice.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, just read them on.
Yeah.
Forget the anime.
Has anyone else got a chance to watch Toriko?
I'm done with all of my anime.
Okay. How about X-Men then, Zan?
Yes. One word describes this show. Gene! Because that's all we hear from Cyclops. And also, I know that wouldn't be as bad, but apparently Cyclops in this world...
He's what in this world?
He's the leader.
Yeah?
Well, usually I see Professor X as the leader, kind of in charge, but no, they have Cyclops the leader, who's emotionally distraught and still worrying about this girl that kind of blew up in fire.
Yeah.
And also, they changed the style of how Wolverine looks. Like, you know how in the Wolverine anime he looks kind of like silky but still bad, kind of like skinny but still badass? In this anime, he looks like a bear. And his attitude is just, it's back to basic, like, I don't like anyone, grrr. Again, I don't like it. I sat through one episode, and the one part of the episode that I liked was when Beastman had to leave to meet up with the other X-Men, and basically said, okay, class, I'm going to leave you in the introduction of Professor Jellyfish. And basically a jellyfish is talking through a translator. It's just hilarious.
Wow, that is weird.
Yes. And that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
And the next one also is Yonden Mas Yo Azazel-san. Oh, by the way, for X-Men, it's basically that mutants are going missing in Japan. Big surprise.
Yeah.
Yonden Mas no Yo Azazel-san.
Yeah, let me take this one.
Okay.
So basically, this is an interesting one. It kind of caught my eye. Basic premise is a girl who works for a detective who does, detective-y work, and he actually happens to do that using real witchcraft. So he will actually like summon a demon to solve his client's problems, if it's bad enough. And so he, for sexual things, he summons this thing that looks basically like a small bear, kind of like Boo Boo, basically. And basically comes up out of the summoning circle. And so most of the show involves, or at least the first episode involves, humorous conversations between Azazel, the demon, and the guy, and then sort of commentary by the girl. And then by the end of the episode, it's learned that that's going to be sort of an ongoing thing as Azazel becomes kind of a main character. This is the kind of series that normally for me I wouldn't like, but for some reason.
That's what I thought for you, yeah.
Yeah, but for some reason I really thought it was funny. The humor style is, again, you have to get into that style. It's going to be kind of dumb humor, but for me this kind of dumb humor worked. Especially as I think it didn't get too shrieky, it didn't get too in your face. and the characters were legitimately, I thought, well acted, and the humor just came out well. And it's simple, and I don't think it's one of those shows that's going to be anyone's favorite anime of all time or anything.
Yeah.
But it's a fun show.
It's a good 12-minute waste of time. Yeah. I watched this show, and the one joke that stuck in my mind for the first episode was like, basically he was his girlfriend, and then all of a sudden he's sending the girlfriend back into the world, and they're like, no, and just sucked up, and he's like, thank God, they're just so clingy.
Yeah.
It's like, so like, what the hell? Second episode I actually like because they actually introduced actually a fly, not a bird.
Sorry, what did they introduce?
They introduced another demon in the second episode.
Okay.
Yeah, Beelzebub. And he has the power to hypnotize people into crapping their pants.
Ah, okay.
But it has other things. But yeah, it seems like it's going to be like a monster of the day kind of show almost.
Okay.
Like next episode they're doing this bull guy. Anyway, it's really funny. I think I will actually watch it. It seems like just interesting and how it's going to turn out. Also, the detective guy, the stoic guy, just seems funny as hell just because he seems to know everything, but also he's like very like, I don't care, but very funny in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an odd one, but it can work.
Definitely.
Finally, one that is sort of out of order here. Legend of Kozumi.
Yes. All right. I'm going to explain this one, Miniman. All right. Legend of Kozumi. It's basically about these famous political people, and it's complete satire of them. Because basically,
interesting.
Instead of like talking, like debating stuff, they play mahjong to decide the fate of their politics.
Okay.
And basically, the main character is Kozumi, and he's basically this very famous Japanese prime minister, very well known in Japan. And he's basically shown as this complete shonen badass character.
Nice.
And it's just hilarious just how they show off all these famous political figures and just make fun the hell of them. It's like, basically the OVA that we watched was 3 parts. First part was basically Koizumi versus some political candidate. Basically, the street man's like, oh, Koizumi-san, you're here! Versus Koizumi.
It's Koizumi versus Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong-sun.
Yeah.
Nice. And
Kim Jong-il's son has like Disneyland hat.
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse ears. And it's just hilarious. Also, George Bush makes an appearance. He's basically this really stupid little kid, like riding around on a Segway, just like, yay! And then he falls down.
Over as well.
Yeah, just me and I could do a review of this show. It's just, it's hilarious. Just of how much they satirize all these political figures.
What do you think, Bitty Man?
It's just the bizarrest thing I've ever seen. Okay, let me explain. Okay, so the first episode, it was like what they've done is they've managed to take sort of the essence, just stereotype jokes of all of these leaders, and just made it epic. Like, when Koizumi is against Korea, he gets assassinated somewhere around 7 times in 5 minutes. Like, they just keep sniping him.
And he's still standing.
And then they fire a nuke, and so he gets in the plane and rides into the nuke.
Wow.
And it's just so funny. And then it's like, they go to China on the second one, and then after this really stupid, amazingly funny plot point happens with the current Prime Minister, who has the funniest face ever had. The crazy face. Suddenly, they summon the huge robotic zombie of Chairman Mao, which is so pointless and so funny, and it's just like, I don't know anything about Mahjong.
Yeah,
I don't think the people did it knew anything, because they're just firing off like special moves, and it's basically just taking the piss of Yu-Gi-Oh, like saying the heart of the Mahjong, and it's just so pointlessly, stupidly funny, and it's like, I hope, like, yeah, I know, a bit like in the way that 37 is a bit in your face, this is even more in your face. Like, this screams randomness at you, but you love it for it. It's the funniest, like, 20 minutes of just animation I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I love this. I can't wait for the next episode where it's Koizumi versus the Pope.
Yeah, and also also Koizumi versus George Bush Sr.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. One funny part that I loved about the OVA that we watched though was basically Koizumi needed a 4-pong tile, but apparently they ran out, all of them were used. So basically he held this tile, basically hammered it down from the sky, and just slammed it down, creating an indent on the board. And he hit it so hard that his finger erased the 4 tile because he pressed it down so hard. It became a 4 tile, and he won the game.
It's so funny that every time I slam it down, they go like that, and at the end, he just goes like that, and so it's in space. It's going on fire. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's a really funny bit where it's just the ex-vice prime minister as well, and then basically there's a sniper team just on Koizumi, and suddenly out of nowhere the ex-prime minister just gets a sniper rifle and just goes.
The best way to explain it is, if everyone in the world watched anime, this show would be a meme creator.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It is
cool.
I recommend watching it, and plus, it's just some of the funniest lines. Just they assassinate the prime minister, and he goes, "Oh no, you took my bro." It's just what? Why are you saying this, Koizumi? It's just yeah, I'm Koizumi. And he just looks so cool. And plus, I mean, he rides a plane into the nuke. It's oh, okay, that's the end of him. He just rides out of it.
Nice.
Scot-free.
So here's one. Late change. I discovered that I was thinking of the wrong Hoshizora. When folks were talking about Hoshizora, I was thinking of Hoshizora Kiseki, an OVA from a couple of years ago, and not Hoshizora Ikakaru Hashi, the adaptation of a visual novel that did indeed begin its run recently.
Yes.
So, Brad, why don't you introduce this one?
This one is what made me bring up the question of why so much hate for visual novel adaptations. Nobody seems to like this show because they're oh, it's just another visual novel adaptation. Guy moves to town surrounded by girls.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I mean, I do like the visual novel adaptations to begin with. But this one, for some reason, stood out because it has that sort of... It's a more blunt humor that sticks out in your mind, and it gets legitimate laughs, and it has that legitimate sort of country in the old sort of rural town feel. And it's a feel-good sort of visual novel adaptation. It doesn't seem like it's going to go too deep and depressing. So I liked it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Zan?
I watched it. My comment is it's a harem, but then it's a visual novel adaptation. So far, not bad. It's actually pretty cute. I'm glad they didn't hammer in the ecchi, but it's kind of cliche. Not bad though. Could become something great, but with time.
Fair enough.
That's all I have to say. Characters are cute. There's even kind of 2 couples going on with a little brother and a big brother.
Nice.
Little brother kind of likes someone maybe, and little big brother might fall in love with someone maybe. And, yeah.
Cool. Anyone else seen it? Nope. All right, then I think that will do it for this time. That was a lot of anime. And a lot of good stuff.
That's I still feel violated from when I said Deadman Wonderland is my favourite.
Matt, wake up for the outro.
I think we may have lost Matt. I think Matt's gone. So, anyway.
Wake up, you bum.
So, I want to thank my guest hosts as always. Thank you, Brad Barker, for being here with us today.
It's great to be here.
As always, glad to have you. Thank you, Miniman.
It's 3 in them. It's 3 in them. It's 10 to 4 in the morning. I can't speak.
Well, we appreciate.
10 to 4 in the morning.
We greatly appreciate your dedication to the show and to otakudom in general.
I'm not even getting paid yet.
Pulling in overtime.
Unpaid overtime. Thank you, Zan, as well. Good to have you.
Great to be here. This is my element, and that's why I'm here.
There we go. And thank you very much, Matt Dixon. How are you doing tonight?
Thank you very much. It was great to be here, and I really sort of enjoy with you. Thank you, and thank all the other hosts. And Yeah, so remember, Life in Tim's Anime podcast, and Matt, wears a hat. Do you like green eggs and ham?
There we go.
That was.
I thought that was Matt. I don't know about you. So thank you all, and we will see you next. See you next time for the other shows. Say what?
He arises.
He arises. He arises slowly but surely.
Oh no,
He comes. Oh no, the head's lolling. It's going back down. I think we lost him again. Have we just completely? Wow.
You just woken me up from that laugh, Matt. Thanks.
And he's there. He is. There he is. Just in time.
To get you up.
Just in time. Matt, thank you so much for being here for the show. Appreciate it.
Welcome. I was asleep for the last 10 minutes. You're welcome.
I've already done your outro, Matt.
And with that, thank you all. Thank you for being part of the Talking to Video. This is a blast. I've had a great time. We will see you down the road.